Hey everyone, if you could tell by the title, basically, this is my worst nightmare to have happened to me as an artist. The only reason I'm even making this video is because I want to be as transparent about my business and my um, art and the reality of what's happening in my life as I can be. And this is the unfortunate truth of the situation, is that um, the person I sent my biracial Joseph to, is not happy with him. And I'm just gonna start from the beginning so that everyone understands the full issue and what's the well, I can't say the word, like the full, basically what everything is, what's happening with everything. Um, I'm really stressed out, which is why I'm like stumbling over words, and that's why I have Mr. Luca here. Hopefully, help me calm down because I feel really bad about the situation, but also like I feel bad, but also I really kind of don't. And yeah, I'm just gonna get into it because you'll understand why I feel bad, but I kind of really, like, parts of me doesn't feel bad for the situation. So the lady I sent, first of all, the lady I sent Joseph to is all the way in California. I am in North Carolina. We're talking about quite opposite sides of the country. So that's a big factor that plays into this whole fiasco, if you will. Um, so basically, she contacted me like quite right after I listed him. Like you saw, he sold really, really quickly to her. And by sold quickly, she only has paid me to this point $150. So she has Joseph now for $150. And the reason why she only paid me $150 is because we agreed this was her first Reborn. I really needed the money, and she could pay me the $150 up front. And I needed the money to go towards more supplies and a camera. So I needed the money up front, and she was able to pay me that $150 immediately. And I said, okay, if you pay me immediately and it goes through my account, I will send him off the very next day. And that's what I did. I sent him off the very next day after I got him about $20 worth of clothes, should I add, that I probably should have just not even bothered with. But I sent him because he was fun to shop for, and I sent him with some clothes. So, all in all, she didn't pay shipping, which was $37. I paid that out of my own pocket. I paid around $25 worth of clothing, and she just gave me $150 for it. So the plan with that was she was supposed to then later on, like this week, she was supposed to pay me $60 more, and we would call it that, because I explicitly stated in the listing that he wasn't perfect. I'm a beginner artist. This is my first time doing anything doll anywhere near that big, and on top of that, he's biracial, which I listed him as a boo-boo because on the back of his head there's like parts of his paint that had not been as dark, and it was not really even noticeable. But I felt like as a beginner artist, I needed to be transparent about anything that I thought could possibly be wrong with him. So I did. I listed him as a boo-boo baby, and I explained what I thought like the only issue with him was in listing. I was very transparent about it. And she says that she doesn't even care about that. That's not the issue that she has with him. So I'm going to get into what happened Monday. So beginning Monday is when stuff really like started happening with this lady, with the situation where I started getting stressed out with the situation. Monday was the day he was supposed to be delivered, and he was. So I kept checking online, checking the tracking, and keeping her up to date where I saw his tracking, and she had his tracking number as well. And so I finally checked at 1 hour, and it said that he had been delivered. So I messaged her frantically. I was like, hello, I haven't heard from you. Did you get Joseph yet? And she was like, no. And she like sent me pictures of the outside of her house, and there she didn't see him. Which, first of all, Joseph is huge, so it was a big box, and I was like, so she can't be missing the box. But the UPS site had said he was delivered on the front porch. So then she had me, because of course I was the shipper. I had to call around. I called my local UPS, and then I called her local UPS, and they couldn't help us. So then I called the national UPS, and they finally were like, well, it was delivered I was making sure that UPS didn't accidentally write down the wrong address. And they're like, no, we checked the address of what I was told to write, and what was written down from the UPS, and they matched. So I wrote down what was correct, and UPS wrote down the correct address that I was given. The issue came in, whereas she actually gave me the wrong address number. So basically, they delivered it to the right place that we were both told, like that UPS and I were told that was her address. But she had written down and confirmed to me twice the wrong house number or the wrong apartment number. So basically, there was this whole thing where she was going around for like an hour trying to figure out which apartment that Joseph had actually been delivered to. And I get people make mistakes, but I did ask her at least twice, was this her address? And I even showed her a picture of the address she had given me written on the box before I shipped him off, so that she can confirm for herself if it was the correct address. And she confirmed it. So I sent him off. So that was the first like big oh my god nightmare that like arose, because otherwise, he's not replaceable. They could have reimbursed us, but it's a Reborn. It's a piece of artwork that I put into, and there would never be another one. I could never not recreate another one exactly like him. So that was the first nightmare that came up with this doll and this lady. So she finally finds the package at the address that it was actually delivered to. She gets it, and the box is completely destroyed. She said that she had done a box opening video, but it was too long to send to me, so I still have not seen that video yet, which is weird to me. But she said the box was completely destroyed from UPS, which I believe, because I've never sent a doll out with UPS before, and I've resold and sent out dolls before, but I've always done it with USPS priority shipping. He was too big to fit in any of the priority boxes, so I had to send him with UPS. So she gets the box. It's completely destroyed. She opens the box apparently, and Joseph's arm, one of his arms, had come off. And anyone who's had a Reborn before knows that this is not a big issue. It's a very easy fix. You just get another string or a zip tie, and you put it back on. Literally, it takes 10 minutes to do. But this is her first Reborn, and she was already freaking out. She was like, "Oh my gosh, all his limbs are gonna come off. You didn't do it right. You didn't assemble him right." I'm gonna and then this is when things got even worse, because she started consulting this other artist who has apparently been doing Reborns longer than I have, and calling this artist the expert, the professional. And when she brought this artist into the situation, this artist basically has now been saying every single thing that I've done wrong with the doll. And it's making me feel even worse, because I know I did make mistakes, and I'm going to get to that in a second. But I feel the arm coming off really could have happened regardless of the artist, or But the reason why we believe the arm definitely came off was because it was tied with string, which I won't be doing ever again. I've done string bodies before and haven't had a limb come off. So, but I'm taking that into account, especially when I'm sending a doll as far as I sent Joseph, to not use string. But so with that situation, I was like, you need to calm down. I'm trying to tell you, it's really not that big of a situation. At that point, she hadn't had any other issue with him. I was like, you just need to calm down. I know this is your first doll, and I know you're like afraid to like, fix him. But I was like, I will tell you exactly what zip ties to get. I will FaceTime you. I will like video chat you, and I will walk you through with the other dolls that I have step by step of how to put the arm back on, and if you want, how to replace the other string ties so that this won't happen again with any other limbs. And she was like, okay, I really didn't want to have to like, do any work on him. And I was like, well, this is the situation. And I really, it would be kind of so pointless to send him all the way back to North Carolina just for zip ties. Maybe that's just me. But I was talking to other people and they were like, yeah, that's something that could have happened regardless of the situation, because he was handled roughly by UPS apparently, and just all the, how far he went, it could have happened regardless, of me, because I do, when I finish assembling the dolls, I always pull lightly on the limbs and the head to make sure it doesn't come off with tugging, and none of them have. Even the ones with the zip, with the ties, like Joseph's body came with. And that's another thing. I felt like also he would be fine because that's the body that he came, like one of the bodies that is recommended for Joseph is a body with the ties, which is what I used. But now I know. I'm going to only use zip ties from now on. Like, he has zip ties, and I replaced the other dolls that I have with zip ties. So that won't be an issue now. And I settled with her. I was like, I will tell you exactly how to do it if you need help. But it's self-explanatory. And I sent her videos. Anyway, moving on. So the next thing she had an issue with was really not even an issue. So with Joseph, I got a lot of advice of how to weight him properly to not make him overly heavy, because he's already, the empty vinyl itself is very heavy. It's a big kit. He's very large, as you know. So they recommended that I only do glass beads up to like his knees and his like forearm elbow area. And so that's what I did on him. And then so she gets him and she's like, oh, why didn't you weight him all the way up to his leg? All the way up his legs and all the way up his arm, his full length of his arms. And I was like, well, he's already 10 pounds. So I told her it would be not a great idea to have weighted him all the way up his arms and legs. She was like, well, he doesn't feel heavy. And the thing was, of course he didn't feel heavy to her yet, because she hadn't been carrying him around yet, because his arm's not attached. So she hadn't been carrying him around yet. And I was like, I think before you think about adding weight to him, which everyone recommended against doing the full limbs of glass beads because of how heavy he would get, I recommend her wait till his arm was reattached, and then start carrying him around. And I'm sure when she does that, she'll feel how heavy he really is, because I carried him around that day when I took him to Goodwill, and man, he's heavy. So like even Luca is around 6 pounds, and if I carry him around too much, he gets heavy. Because reborns are dead weight. You don't want to weight them like you would a real baby of their size, necessarily. So that was the second issue she had with him, was she didn't really like how I weighted him. A couple hours go by, and she's like looking at him again, and then she noticed that right in his chest area, she thought he wasn't, she didn't like how he was stuffed up at top. And so she sent me pictures, and yeah, he did look like he was kind of a little understuffed in that area. But he wasn't like that, really, when I sent him out. So I don't know if the polyfill settled or got smushed, but he really didn't look quite as... He was a little understuffed in that area, only because I didn't want to overstuff him and give him like a boob type appearance, you know, with the gathered body. I didn't want to give it like a boob type appearance. So I did intentionally understuff that area, but not as much as it had appeared. And so she wasn't happy with that. Another minor issue, she already had polyfill because she makes stuffed animals. So I was like, oh, well, when you're switching, you know, the when you're switching over the strings to zip ties, you can just stuff a little bit of extra in there. And she was like, okay. But she was still, you know, she was not happy because she was like, well, I didn't want to have to do all this for him. I just wanted, you know, to have a ready-made doll. And I was like, yeah, I know, but some of these things, these first two issues were merely like, preference issues, because some people would have been a lot of people actually would have been completely fine with how I weighted him and stuffed him, because, I don't know. But then she said he didn't have a lot of stuffing in his head, and she showed me her, squishing him, but this is how I weight, like, I fill the heads usually. I like them a little squishy. Again, that was another preference thing to me. But she was like, well, I asked this professional artist, and they were like, you completely understuffed his head. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry, but I thought I was doing everything textbook, because I read you don't want to overstuff the head, because then it's just hard. And, I don't know. I will admit that he probably could have used an extra, you know, more stuffing in his head. But other than that, I was like, these seem to be kind of preference issues, and I won't refund you or have them sent back to me to fix them for these things that you could definitely, you know, fix yourself with even my guidance if you need it. Another, like, couple hours pass, and I get the most horrible message from her that I've gotten so far. She goes, his nails are coming off. And I was like, oh no. This is like, I was like, no way. Are you kidding me? His nails are not coming off. This is not happening to me. This is not happening. I was like, I can't believe this is happening. So she sent me the picture, and 3 of his toenails tips, only the white part, are, she said she lightly scraped at it and it came off. And I was just like, I know this is a nightmare. I kept running back in my mind to think about what I had possibly done different with Joseph that I hadn't done with all my other dolls, because I'm like scraping his nails right now, and I did this with the other dolls, and nothing. So, like, his nails are still fine. So I was like, what possibly could have been different about Joseph's nails that perhaps I didn't do with him, or Lavender, or even Sadie now. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, oh, I think I know what could have happened with his toenails. At least his toenails. I don't know about his other nails. But I think what happened with his toenails is, I think the white of the nails didn't cure completely before I put the gloss over it. I'm pretty sure that is what happened, and I feel like that's the only thing really that I'm at fault for here. And I apologized to her a lot, and I was like, you know, you know, I'm a beginning artist. You know, this is the first doll I've sent out with Genesis Heat Set Paid. You know all of these things. You only paid $150 for him, and I gave her so many options of what she can do to like fix the situation. You know, at this point, I'm gonna run through the options I gave her. These are the options I gave her because I feel so bad because I would not have ever sent out a doll that I thought would have these issues. Why would I do that as a beginner artist who's trying to make my name, you know, as an artist? I would never have sent out Joseph if I knew he had any of these issues. I wouldn't have sent him out, especially not all the way to California, you know, which just adds to the issue. So I obviously feel really bad, mostly about the nails because, you know, that was mostly if that's true, if they just came off like that, that is my fault. I am at fault for that. So I gave her these options because I will not do a full refund from her. I just don't think just the nail tips, you know, is worth a full refund. Especially because she said she likes the painting and she likes him otherwise, you know, other than her preferences with weighting and stuffing. She said she loves the painting. She thinks he's really cute. And so I was like, I won't do a full refund. There's no way I'm doing a full refund. I can't afford to do that. You knew ahead of time I don't do refunds. And you knew ahead of time that I was a beginner artist, so there was possible issues that could have arose. So I'm not doing her full refund. That's the one option I'm not giving her because I just don't think it's fair for me, all the work I put into him didn't have him fully refunded, especially coming so close to the Rose Doll show and when I need to leave. That would just cut into my savings. But, so that's the one option I'm not doing for her. So I gave her these options. I said, hey, this is the option that would make the most sense. You just pay for him to be shipped back to me instead of you know paying the remaining $60. You just pay for him to get him shipped back to me. I will fix him up within the same day he gets here, and I send him back the same day because these are 5-minute fixes. I can fix his nails and put his limbs back on with zip ties. Probably 20 minutes max. These fixes will take me, and you know, I was like, this is the option that makes the most sense. Yes, of course, it'll take him a little bit to get to me, but as soon as he gets to me, his repairs will be finished, and I'll ship him right back to you. And I even told her, I was like, I'll throw in like a couple more outfits just for the trouble of, you know, the disappointment. I was like, I'll throw in like 2 more outfits for you, and then I'll pay return shipping. All you have to do is just ship him, pay shipping to return him back to me. I'll do the fixes for free, obviously, and then just send him back. She was like, oh, well, I don't know. And I was like, what do you mean you don't know? That's like, I think that's the most reasonable option for us. So then I was like, well, if you don't want that option, you could always send him to an artist that's closer to you. You know, there's lots of artists in California. And I was like, you could just send him to an artist closer to you to fix the nails. Because that's the only really thing that needs to be fixed by an artist. She's like, she didn't really give me an answer. And then another option I gave her is to try to fix the nails himself. I was like, I can send you either the link to some air dry paints for Reborns, and because she's artistic herself. And I was like, I can send you the link to some paints, or I can send you my personal paint for the nail tips. The air dry paint for the nail tips, and you can fix them yourself. And she was like, Basically, she's not giving me an answer, which is the most frustrating thing about this whole situation. Basically, she's not giving me a direct answer of what she wants me to do in this situation. I'm very frustrated. I'm really trying to do the right thing and own up to the nails, which, again, if it really did come off how she said, which I don't even know at this point because when I was changing him into all his outfits for his photo shoots, his nails were completely fine. they didn't come off or chip or anything when I was changing him for the photos. So it's really weird to me that she said she got him and they chipped off like with light brushing. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not saying that she did anything to him, but you really don't know anymore. But I would feel much better if she would go ahead and send me the box opening video so I can see that the doll was, what state the doll was actually in when she, got him. So, yeah, that's the whole fiasco I'm going through right now. I'm taking this as a learning experience. I really wish she hadn't involved this other professional artist because it's just making me feel worse about mistakes that I know I made, and I don't need someone else that I don't know or some middle range artist downgrading me basically and telling me everything I did wrong with the doll when it's the first one I've ever sent out. And I don't know. I'm taking this basically as a learning experience in a whole. I'm taking this, and now before I send out these other two dolls that are pending payment right now, the Lavender and Sadie are both pending payment right now. I've rechecked them 3 times and I've glossed over their nails again. So now they have 3 layers of gloss on their nails. So there's no possible way their nails could come off. I've scraped at them with my nails and I've made sure that no way their nails could come off. And again, they have zip ties in them. So, and I've checked again their stuffing and they are all stuffed fine. So, at this point, the moral of this whole thing is it's still an ongoing process. She still hasn't told me what she really wants to do. The basic moral of this long, super long video is, oh God, just make sure, even as a new artist, just, I don't know, I don't even know what I could have done better in this, because I did check him. It's just so frustrating. It's like my worst nightmare. Just make sure you're very careful, I guess. Especially with the fine details, I guess. Just what I would do differently is I would just make sure again that his nails, the white part of his nails, was completely cured. As long as the other ones had cured in before I glossed. So yeah, that's about all I have to say about the situation. I'll update you when she decides what to do with him. Oh, and another option I gave her was she could just sell him as is, as a boo-boo baby, and I'm sure someone would immediately want to buy him because people were like lining up to buy him already when I had him listed as a boo-boo baby. So, yeah, so that's basically the situation. That's what's going on right now over the past 2 days. And I just... You guys tell me what I should do in this situation if you are watching this far. Tell me what you think would be best and what you think is a remedy if I haven't given an option and you think of another thing. Just let me know in the comments below, or feel free to message me on my social media if you find a better solution that would work for both of us. Just keep in mind that she's all the way in California, so that adds a bump in the plans. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you for your continued support. I am a new artist, and this is just one of those things that I could not have prepared myself for. And now I know, yeah, just really disappointed. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Hopefully a more upbeat one. I should be going to Once Upon a Child on Friday to get him some outfits for Rose Doll's show, and I should be vlogging that if my mom, isn't being annoying and will let me, because she's driving me. So, alright, see you guys later. Goodbye.